right? And let them know what we got going on out here today, man.
What's up, y'all? Once again, Kelvin Winston or Keon. A lot of people know me in the city as Keon. We have ProMac Computer Repair. This is my computer store, black-owned computer shop. I would say the first of its kind. You know, we had a couple that tried to do it, but not at this level. But we do everything here, man. Mac repair, of course. We're referring to the professional ending the stigma. Like, don't judge people that have repeated relapse or that are stay in a mental health condition that is not conducive to their lifestyle, right? But what about our own people? What about ending the stigma of the demeaning words that we place on our own people who are suffering from addiction and mental health? Words like crackhead, fiend, you know, and these people are suffering and we want them to come out of it, but yet we call them demeaning names and say, no, tell about it, talk about it, get well, get better. No, we don't want any of that. We keep beating down our own people. It's like kicking somebody when they're down. Let's change the language. Let's change the language to, instead of those derogatory words, let's change them to that person has a disorder. They, you know, something that will make them, help them, not make them, because you can't make anybody do anything. Well, I know that because my mama tried for years, right? But it can help them. It can give them an atmosphere. We need an environment conducive to growth and to development and to recovery and to healing. And that comes with love and compassion and empathy and all of these things. It's not just one thing. We have so many things going wrong right now in our community that we need a lot of good things in order to combat that, in order to change the narrative, as we would say, right? Because drastic times calls for drastic measures. We can't expect to say we're going to change our communities, the violence in the community, the addiction, the issues, the single parents, the everything that right now plagues our community. It's going to take all of us. It's not going to be one answer that's going to fix it. And so, you know, like I said, drastic times calls for drastic measures. We need to come together and do something different to change the narrative. And then my book is only spotlighting one part of that, you know, the peer support part, where they call them, and I heard this at a round table with the soon-to-be mayor of Newport News, called credible messengers, right? People who can say, I understand what it's like, you know, to be in a certain situation, especially coming from underserved communities, which is where I did my research earlier this year on children exposed to violence in underserved communities. And we're talking about Baltimore, West Baltimore, right? How these elementary school children pick up certain behaviors and their coping skills because they're high anxiety, right? Their fight or flight is on high, and it changes them, and it creates a process addiction, a lifestyle addiction, becoming desensitized to the violence, finding a way to cope and saying, you know what, I'll get a gun or I'll pick up a pack, not just because everybody's doing it, but because this is the thing. These are the things that have, you know, plagued my life. Like, these are the things that have made me cope in a way that is not conducive to what society deems a good, healthy growth and development. So these children in West Baltimore, Baltimore was one of the first school districts to implement the restorative practices program. Restorative practices brought life coaches into the elementary school to help the kids deal with the trauma. They did that back in about 2018. So hats off to Baltimore City Schools for doing that. And I believe Hampton is doing that. Don't quote me on saying it, but I believe that Dr. Richard Mason, head of the school board in Hampton, is pulling some credible messengers in there to help these children either feel like there's someone in the school system who can relate to them, so that they can talk about it, so they'll feel more comfortable about talking about their problem, which is another thing my book highlights. So it talks about the disorder and the professional. And like I said, ending the stigma just isn't placed on the professional to say, you all need to stop looking at us and judging and naming, but our own people, my own disorder. People who are going through it can't put all the blame on the professional, right? Because there were times when I was, not truthful, in denial, things like that, manipulative, trying to get what I wanted out of that situation instead of trying to get better, So there's so many pieces to it, and I'm pushing it all out there, and it's not because I want that lunch, but I just it's never enough time. It's never enough information. I don't have it all. I don't.